hold on. Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on. Don't let me go. Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on. Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on. Without you, I can't hold on. Without you, I can't hold on.
Alright, so for this video, I'm just going to be breaking down this sample that I recently made. I really like it. I think it's one of my best work, and I'm happy to be sharing it. So I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did and why I did certain things and how I got that sound. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you learn a thing or two. I started with an A minor chord, and this is how that sounds. Instead of playing those two notes at the top, I brought it down an entire octave. After having so much tension, I decided to have a chord that does not have any tension. I did a D minor 11 chord, and this is how that sounds. The next chord I did is a F major chord, and this is how that sounds. For the last two chords, I did a E flat chord into a E chord, and this is how that sounds. Okay, so now all together, this is what we have. For the piano sound, I'm using Keyscape, and I'm using the Wing Upright Mono Dark. I'm using a Shep 73 by Waves to get rid of some of the lows. I'm using this tape recorder to kind of give it that vintage vibe to it. And then I'm using a J37. I decided to layer it with some Rhodes, and I'm using the Lounge Lizard VST, and I'm using the first preset. And this is how that sounds. Alright, so for my next sound, I think this sound is actually funny. So for my next sound, I'm using the default Omnisphere patch. And that's the first patch that you open up to. And this is how that sounds. So now I'm going to show you how I made it sound like this instead. So what I have on here is the shaper box, the fruity chorus, some reverb, a flingus, and then an EQ in order to take out the high end and the low end, and then a stereo shaper. And this is how that sounds now. The next sound I added is the Blend EP, and I think that one sound complemented all of the other sounds. And this is how that sounds. The last pad that we added is this pad from Omnisphere, and I love this pad. I use it too much. So on to probably one of the most important part of the sample is the strings. And the strings that I'm using is a combination of a lot of different strings. So I started off with this Big Fish Audio London solo strings, and they sound amazing. And this is how that sounds. And another thing that I did was I added another set of it of the violin, and I also layered it with the Spitfire chamber strings. And this is one of my favorite strings of all time, like for sure. I think one of the most important parts when it comes to using strings is putting it mono and also panning some left, some right. And all I have is just some reverb and some EQ. Like really nothing special. Just make sure you put your thing mono and you layer a bunch of them to hit different frequencies. The next sound that I use is this one shot from Nami, and this is how that sounds. What I did was I just recorded random things on Edison as I was playing along with this. I just went for a rhythm instead of a steady bass, and I just chopped it up and turned it into one audio file. And this is how that sounds. So moving forward, especially when it gets to certain sections, I think one of the most important things is having little details in order to make it sound more complicated than it really is. And by that, I'm saying having certain kicks or certain things that can embellish the sample as a whole and make it feel a lot bigger. So little details like this, I think is extremely important. I have no idea how I did it. It was just a thing I just did in the moment. I've never done something like this before, to be honest. And it just kind of worked out for this sample. After doing the bass and seeing the result of doing something that I just wouldn't do because I simply played it rather than clicked it in, I used that same concept for the strings, and this is how that turned out. The next thing I added was this piano run. I am not sure why I added it, but it made it. The vocals is probably what took the longest time, and it was because I was trying to get something unique with the vocals. And as you could see, there are a lot of vocals, a lot of vocals. And I was trying to figure out ways to make it better and be able to make it sound a little bit different than usual. And what I did for these vocals is I wrote the lyrics, I sent it to someone, and they sent me back a bunch of different versions. So I made the person send me back a couple different versions so I could combine all of them and put some in a room and not in a room and be able to make it sound like this big thing rather than just one person singing, if that makes any sense. This took hours. I'm talking about over 3 hours to do this. Um, and it was just because I was just trying to make it perfect and find different chops. But I have some panning, I have some going left, I have some going right, I have some pitched up, I have some pitched down. And what I put on there is just a rev plate and a vintage verb. That's all. And this is what the final product sounds like.
You gotta hold on. Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on. Don't let it go. Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on. Without you, I can't hold on.
I think one thing that you can take away from this is just combining a lot of vocals together rather than using one simple vocal. And I think if you do it right, it can really make your stuff sound a lot more full, but also a lot more unique. Maybe you might be able to get something that you wouldn't normally get from doing the same thing every time. And I think the reason why I like this sample a lot is because I did things that I wouldn't normally do, and because of that, I got a good end result. And I think that's something I take away myself from making the sample. The last sound that I added for the pad section is for the outro, and I added the sound Love on the Edge. I love that sound for the outro. I think it sounds extremely spacey. It's very atmospheric, and I think it just makes it feel like somewhat of an outro. And I also reversed the piano, and this is how that sounds together. All right, so for the lead, this is how it sounds without the pedal. Now with the pedal. Thank you for watching, and let me know if next time I should go in detail about something more specific.
Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on, don't let me go. Without you, I can't hold on. You gotta hold on.